Hello everybody. Today I have a treat for you. It is a vintage Blaupunkt cassette radio alarm clock. This belongs to a friend who asked me to see if I can fix it. Let's review some of the features on this thing. I'll try to figure out what it is, and then we'll open it up and see what's going on. So this is a Blaupunkt model number HCX-150. I have not found anything on this online. I've scoured the web and I can't find anything on it. So if you happen to know anything about this, and if you see an old catalog with it or a service manual or even some kind of a user manual, please let me know. You'll notice it's set for 220 volt to 240 volt, AC 50 hertz. I don't know if the transformer in here allows me to switch it to 120 where I am, but we'll figure that out as well. And we have, the only other thing we have here is a place for a 9 volt battery. And that's a new 9 volt. Still dead as a doornail. Unfortunately, this thing is not working. So we're going to figure out why it's completely dead. Here's the, there's an on-off switch here. Auto alarm off. I mean, you should have something on the display. PM, record. Okay, so let's have a look. There is a mic here, and we have the eject button doesn't work. Record, play, rewind, forward, stop, pause. Pause is fine. To open it, you got to do that. So there must be a spring in here that is also not working. That should be pushing this up when you release this. See that little latch? When you press it, it lets the door loose, but nothing is pushing up on the door. So there's probably a spring back here that's supposed to pull it up. And let's have a look at the playhead here. You can't really see it through the window, but it looks like it is a stereo head, AE62. Okay. Now, besides the cassette mechanism, we have sleep, time, slow, fast, alarm off. Not sure what slow and fast means, but sleep maybe is just a sleep timer to turn the radio off, or cassette perhaps. I'm not sure if that works with that too. Time would, I guess, set the time maybe. That's a snooze button, obviously, for the alarm clock. We have a standard AM/FM radio here. You can see the tuning knob going from one end to the other. Okay, 88 to 108, and on the bottom 530 to 1610. We have volume knob and a tone, probably bass and treble. Okay, this is the mode, AM, FM, and tape. Okay, and we have an alarm auto off. So I'm assuming that you can turn this maybe to set it, auto, off, on, and then whatever function it's on will start. So you can wake up to a tape, let's say, if you want. There may also be a way to record from the radio. I don't know if that works, but I would assume, you would pause and maybe press play, record together, and perhaps leave it in the alarm mode or odd or whatever, tape, and maybe when it starts, it records from the radio. I don't know. That might be a function on here too, because I do see rec. And then perhaps message. That's a good question. Perhaps people can leave you a message. When they come by this machine, they can press record, somehow leave you a message and tell you have a message. I'm not sure what that is, but that's the Blaupunkt. Now, a little history about Blaupunkt. Blau means blue, and punkt means dot, like punctuation. That's why it has a blue dot. So apparently, they called it Blaupunkt because it just was known for having the blue dot. It's an old brand. Unfortunately, it kind of fizzled out a few years ago, and now the name is found on modern stuff, but the modern stuff is just a brand name. It's built in various factories in the Far East, and we don't know exactly the quality. Perhaps they kept the quality, I don't know, so that they don't ruin the name, but Blaupunkt, you can still buy stuff from Blaupunkt, but it's definitely not made in Germany, and I can't vouch for the quality. Now, Blaupunkt was known mostly for basically high-end audio for stereos for cars, auto players. And they were in many, many, many cars. You know, the decks, that once people, you know, back in the day, they could change the decks in their cars. Nowadays, it's so built in and integrated that it's hard to really do that anymore on any modern car. But back in the day, you could slip out the old radio from the car and put in usually an external, like a different quality radio. And Blaupunkt was one of the major brands in that department. So let's see if we can open it up. Now, I'll be back in a moment with some tools. All right, I've managed to unscrew the screws. There were 2 here at the front, here and here, and there were 3 flat ones at the back, there and there. So just before I get it open, I just had another thought. I don't believe this 9-volt battery is enough to actually power the radio. I doubt it. I think it's just a backup battery for the clock so that it doesn't forget your alarm and settings. Perhaps, you know, if you're in a power failure prone area or there's issues with your power browning out, this will retain some of the programming. So I believe that 9-volt battery is just there as a backup for the clock. And we're still gonna have to power this off the mains. That's probably the issue, okay? As far as the message goes, this may be for recording or it may be for playback. I think maybe you could also record something and then set it to play a message at a certain time. That might be another, you know, potential function for this. Otherwise, I'm not sure what that is. And then as far as the slow and fast goes, that may have been for when you're setting the time. Maybe you can go slow or you hold it down and it changes the time fast. So let's say it's like 12 o'clock, right? And it starts off default blinking at 12. You hold fast and it goes really, really quickly through the hours and minutes. And then when you get close, you kind of tap it like this to go slow. That's what I'm guessing those are for. But anyway, I'm gonna pause the video again, try to figure out how to get this thing apart because you can see it's starting to come loose, but I believe there's more stuff in here stuck together and I'm not sure how to easily get this thing opened up. So I'll do that in a minute. There's a big tuning winding there, probably for the AM. But yeah, I'll be back in a second once I get the lid off this thing. Okay, I figured it out. This knob here comes off. This, you have to clear this hole and then the whole thing swings over. So what you do is you want to pull this over. Now it takes a little bit of fidgeting here, but you can open it up like this and then pull it over. And then it just basically opens up completely like this. You can see the tape mechanism here. We're gonna look into this in a moment, but that is the speaker, the tape mechanism, and this is the board, okay? So let's have a look in detail. Okay, power goes in here. There's a little thing that hold down the cable, and it goes into the transformer, okay? Transformer, I'm not sure what that is. Something to tie it down. Not quite sure. Something sitting there. Okay, anyway, it runs along here and it seems to enter the board. Now it's really dirty. It feels like it has wax all over it. Yeah, it's got this waxy stuff all over the whole board. Maybe that was their attempt to waterproof it. The components don't look too bad. I mean, the caps are all looking like they're intact as far as the heads. They don't look like they're leaking. Lots of different trim pots. We're not going to play with that. There's a chip here. What exactly is this? Let's have a look. MM5402N. Yeah, not sure, but again, it's all covered in wax. all covered in wax. Everything's, this is the 9-volt battery. It goes in here. This thing here must be from the cassette mechanism to actuate the recording. You see cassette here, that's the record button. So that will activate record. And other than that, cassette mechanism, there's just one, what looks like one very long belt. It's very loose though. You know, you can see there's no tension on this thing at all. It's all dried up. So we're gonna have to change that belt. It doesn't look to be too difficult. And then of course there's a spring for the eject here, which would be here. And I can see it came off. See the spring? And see that arm right there? It popped off the arm. And that's the reason why it's not ejecting. That I have to just put that spring back onto that. So far it's really, I think we can get it working, but it's the power issue. And again, I don't know yet whether the power is a problem or if it's actually the fact that it's using one of these weird plugs. Maybe there, you know, nobody's testing it here. I can plug it into my, you know, the outlet for my dryer, but I'd rather not. What I'd rather figure out is see this transformer here, which is quite loose. You know, what kind of output is expected into the main board. Because if I can find another power supply, I'll just use that. And maybe that'll be enough to get this functioning. Just have to figure out what this transformer is stepping it down to. What you'll notice here is that I've taken out the transformer just to see if there are any identifying marks, and I can't find any. But I did take off the old 120, sorry, this is 220 to 240 volt prong, and I wired up here, making sure neutral and live are the same, to a standard 120 volt prong. Now I don't see an issue going down in voltage, but what I'll do is plug this in, and then I'll be able to check these leads from the transformer go out to these 3 terminals here, 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna see what voltage comes out of there. As you can see, it's got 3 different steps here. So I want to see relative to each what voltage. If I can figure out what voltage AC we're getting out of this transformer at the 120 level, then I'll know the voltage this expects going in. And then I can just double it, and I should be good for the 220, 240 range. So it's just a matter of, I'm trying to figure out essentially what this transformer is doing. And then I'll know what voltage input this unit expects, and then I'll be able to maybe get another transformer that's appropriate, or just or find another AC power source that's a lower voltage. So we're gonna plug this in. All right, interestingly, I did plug it in, and look, the clock is blinking. Why? I don't know. Maybe it'll work on a lower voltage. I'm going to set this to radio and see if we hear anything. I hear absolutely nothing. So that might just be enough to get the clock radio working, but not enough voltage to get any of the other functions here working. Because my radio, if I tune it, I hear absolutely nothing coming out of the speaker, and I'm on max volume here. Okay, and the tape player, will it rotate the motor? It's trying. I hear a noise. There it goes. Oh. See? It's trying to turn. Let me get this belt off of here. See? It's turning, but there's no power on this thing. Yeah, it's just, oh, see, it's moving around. It's just too low a voltage. it needs double the amount of voltage on this thing to run. Okay. Now time to test out what we're getting on this thing. I want to know my output on the transformer. So let's just set up my stand here. Okay. And we have fused max 10 amp. I'm just checking volt, I'm not doing current. So let's go to voltage. It's on AC, as you can see there. And let's see what we get here. I should be able to tap it here. And one here. Uh, 5 volts. Really? Okay. Let me see from here to here. 4.3. There to there. 8. Okay, so we've got a black in the center of the transformer here, coming off the middle. I don't know if you can see that. And 2 reds. So let's see what black to red is on each side. Black to red, 4.4. Black to red, 4.4. Red to red should be 8.8, double the amount. Okay, so I think based on that information, I have a feeling that this transformer, it's stepping it down. So we went from 120 AC to basically 4 difference between the black and the red, and an 8 difference between the reds. So it's probably running on 16 volt. I need something that, another transformer that will essentially power down 120 to a 16 volt range. So I'll see if I have something like that, and I'll need 3 taps because it looks like the center tap is, again, I don't know if I can just power them together or not, but that's, yeah, 4.4, 4.4, same exact thing. And then we have a 8.8 difference there. Let's see if we can actually program anything here. If I flip this over, time, will it let me do anything? Auto, on. Oh, there we go. Sorry. It does work. I didn't have it on. Okay, I hear something. Let's try to tune the radio. Oh, that clock blinking is causing a lot of interference. Can we set this clock? Okay, I set the clock. I no longer hear interference. And I mean, I'm not here. AM.
Pretty clear that you can trust Whitler in a game 3 or game 4 in this series, even though, and I guess my question would be, does it matter to you at all? Jays are the one team that
it's actually working.
Pretty much unhittable against everyone else. Well, if you'd asked me that before,
okay, it's working.
I probably would have said yes, but I think as he matures and.
So yeah, the radio function works, the clock function works. The only thing left to do is figure out if this cassette thing is going to be able to handle the low voltage. Maybe it will, or it'll go really slowly. Okay, yeah, So essentially, we've figured out that it can run on 120 volts. I'm getting 4 volts from black to red and 8 volts red to red on this transformer. And essentially, to get it to have the proper running voltage, I'm assuming I need to double that. But right now, the radio works. Let's see if FM works, but the radio seems to work. The FM, not so well at all. FM is completely dead for some reason. AM is fine, and we'll have to test out the cassette because, again, even with a new belt, I don't think it'll work. Okay, we'll keep working on this for the next video. Again, thanks for watching, and bye for now.